All right, guys, we have Cass. Cass, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm doing all right. We're filming this a day before Remembrance Day, and any day closer to the weekend is closer than the day before. So that's always a good thing. So excellent. So you ready, excited, ready to go?
Yep. Let's rock and roll.
All right. So logic cubes. What's your story?
Yeah, it's interesting because we're in the business of e-learning. So what we do is we develop a lot of digital training solutions and things like that. But I almost got into it by accident, right? I've always had an entrepreneur in me since I was a kid, but it was a lot of learning, a lot of journey. I don't know if you want me to unpack it right now, or we can talk about it as we go.
Well,
Um,
unpack it, my friend. This is your story. Tell us your story.
Yeah, so I grew up in I was born in the Middle East, but then my family moved to Pakistan, where my uh, the ancestral place is in Karachi. I spent about 6 to 8 years of my developmental age or years in Karachi, from 6 to I think 14. I was there. So during that time, the place is very populated. It has a lot of local people, as well as a lot of people migrate there to find work. So I lived in this area where there were some migrant workers as well. And I was 10 at the time, and I had a friend who was the son of a migrant worker. So they weren't that well off. Obviously, they would do labor work. And so, we used to play together. We used to have fun together, but there were things that he couldn't afford. And that's when it kind of hit me that economy plays a big role, right? How to improve the standard of living. Obviously, I didn't think of these things back then, but now in retrospect, I would. So that kind of hit me, and then I try to solve that, right? And what I did was, one of those like carnival type games, right? Like
Oh
those
yeah.
with rings and whatnot. So there were the local version of those games. So I set those up and started charging the local kids per session. And whatever money we got, we kind of, give it to that buddy of mine. So he too can afford those toys and we can play together. So that was another insight I learned way back, uh, how you can get money through creating value. So that was entertainment we were selling. So fast forward, when I was 14, my family migrated to Canada, went to school. I went to McMaster for 1 year. I wanted to do life sciences, like any, I guess, any immigrant kid that comes from South Asia has these aspirations to either becoming a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. So I kind of followed. I tried following that track. It wasn't meant for me, so I did 1 year there. I changed school. I I actually went to University of Ontario, IT. It's called UIT in Oshawa. They now changed their name to Ontario Tech. So I joined the business program there. 4 years I studied business, got out. So when I graduated in finance in 2012, that was when the global economic meltdown was happening. So there were no jobs. It was bad time to graduate and find banking jobs, right? So got out, looked for jobs for almost a year, and then a buddy of mine, he reached out and just asked if I wanted to try my hands with e-learning development. I had no clue what it was. So that was the
What's
accident of my
e-learning? What's that all about, right?
exactly. I mean, why that was first. I had no clue. I never heard of that word. I didn't even know instructional design or e-learnings or these careers existed. Right. So I thought about it. I said, sure, I can give it a try. But before doing that, I actually started my first venture. So that my first startup was called Cryogenation, and that almost again I had that. Like I said, there was a bit of entrepreneur. There was always in me. I always wanted to create value. So Cryogenation was essentially a digital marketing company, but very visual based. So in my university years, I got a hang of how to use a DSLR camera. I became pretty okay at taking digital photos, right? That was the creative expression. So, so I decided one day, you know what? I have a camera, I have a tripod. Why don't I just approach all these real estate agents and ask them if they need their listings, um, if I can take high definition or HDR photos for their listings, and they can put them up in their portfolio. So it just increases their chances of selling, right? In other words,
And sorry, what year was this? What year is this, Cass? That
this
you
I
said
would
you
say
you're
would
doing
be
the
2013, maybe end of 2012 when I graduated, right?
and still there's some real estate agents that do not have good pictures for any of their listings right now.
Exactly,
So
exactly. And
you
I,
tapped into that market very, very smartly, my friend.
yeah, and when I got into it and it picked up really well, it was just me and another buddy of mine, and I asked one of my sisters. She actually helped cold call all these realtors. So we made a list of like 10,000 realtors in Excel one by one, and just calling and reached out. We got some traction. I got some recurring clients and all that. But 1 year into it, I realized that I wasn't able to scale it, right? So this was more, it's more started more as a side gig, right? And although the timing was right, I mean, imagine now during the COVID, if you had that, with all the virtual listings and everything, it would have been great timing. But so I had to wrap it up because of obviously it was my first real venture. Didn't have a team to scale and all that stuff. So that's when I got that text from my one of my buddies asking if I can try e-learning. I said, sure. I mean, what would it take?